I've taken out dozens of wildlife officers, PhDs, and had them live interact with Sasquatch on multiple occasions. Trained in the art of tracking by a Cree Nation's elder and a military sniper, my skill sets include camouflage techniques using the terrain and its features to mask ground movement, counter surveillance, survival, evasion, and escape techniques. G'day, my name's Todd Standing. Very excited because, as many of you know, I've started a court case. I've started the proceedings for it, and I've been in a lot of negotiations over the last few weeks that it's been tough. It's been up and down. The biggest thing that I needed to do is get this case to court. Once I get it to court, I'm extremely confident I will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Sasquatch exists, with incredible eyewitness testimony from PhDs, from wildlife biologists, from eyewitnesses, from police officers to fishery officers to just exceptional people. I'm going to talk about, in this video, I'm going to talk about one of the eyewitness encounters from a couple of women that I met. That's probably one of the most amazing encounters I've ever even heard of. But first, I want to talk about the court case. So I'm going to be real honest. The truth was, just like with species protection that I worked for back in 2007, I knew this was a long shot. I knew this was going to be a big uphill battle, and you know, even the likelihood of this getting to court was going to be extremely low. Judges are going to throw this out because Sasquatch is garbage and they don't have any, you know, it's paranormal stuff and there's no place for this in a court of law. I needed to prove something called standing. And my name is Todd Standing. Funny, it's something I wasn't able to prove, and any of you who know about legal issues, I have to show that in some way I'm being damaged by this species not being recognized. And with months of thought and determination and talking to lawyers and looking at legal precedents, as of today, Todd Standing has standing. I know it sounds funny, and you can have a chuckle over it because Sasquatch is real and people joke about all sorts of stuff and Loch Ness and UFOs and stuff. I do Sasquatch research. The species exists, and I would give myself a 10% chance a week ago of this actually making it to court, which means it was very likely to be thrown out, which is at great cost and expense to me. And I was actually likely I would also get sued for bringing a court case to court that has no viability. There's actually I'm liable for wasting the government's and the court's time if this doesn't get put into court. However, after months, even years of working and thinking and processing and talking with colleagues and working out the details, I finally have standing. And I've given myself, I would say now, even after talking with the lawyer today, we were very excited to get to where we are, and I think I have about an 80% chance now of this actually going to court. And if it goes to court, I'm going to win. I am so confident. How could I be denied? The evidence is so beyond a reasonable doubt. And what's also super exciting about this is I'm doing this in British Columbia. That's where I live right now. I live like on the border between Alberta and British Columbia. I do research in Alberta and British Columbia, but most importantly, I have done a ton of research in Montana and more specifically Washington State. And when this works in British Columbia, when the precedent is put forth that there is standing for government officials, for Fish and Wildlife, and the government to be responsible for not recognizing this species, when I can prove that I have standing, it's coming to Washington State next. And we found a way. It's not some loophole. It's legit. It's totally real. And anyways, so that's going to come out in the next few weeks. So that's what I'm really excited about, and that's why I wanted to do this video. It's been so much work. It's been so uphill. Oh my gosh! And people like my colleagues, especially the first one that comes to mind, the amazing and magnificent Dr. John Bitternagel, who is just such a wonderful man. Spent so much of his life devoted this, decades working on this. He's got so little traction, and he's taught me so much. He's been such an inspiration to me. I can't say enough good things about what a brilliant, amazing human being he is. And he has, he's very ill right now, and I'm not going to get into that. It's kind of personal stuff, but it's a very sad time in my life pertaining to a great mentor and a great man, Dr. John Bitternagel. But I've seen how he's struggled, and it's been so hard to get. We've been ignored. The scientific community has ignored us, and when we win this court case, we won't be ignored anymore. So not in Canada and not in the United States. So it's just such an exciting moment, and it's gonna filter down. People are gonna and this is coming out the next couple months for sure. I'm moving forward with legal proceedings, and when I win, see, right now what's happening is everybody's waiting to see, the big joke, he's a big joke, it's not going to go to court. When I get this to court, it's not going to be a joke anymore, because when I get this to court, I win, and that's the big uphill thing. And so I'm going to start releasing, once this gets into court, I'm going to tell the whole world how I found Standing and got this moved up to the next level. So very, very exciting for me. And so the other thing I wanted to talk about in this video was some of the eyewitnesses that, obviously I've been doing this Sasquatch research for a long time. I've been public many times. A lot of people call me and tell me their stories, and now I've gathered all these witnesses, and I want to talk about probably one of the most amazing Sasquatch encounters I have ever heard of. What happened was, and this relates to me and a Sasquatch that I filmed that I call Jake. He's my Video 5 Sasquatch, and so anyways, in 2010, in the spring of 2010 was when I was able to acquire the Video 5 footage, as I call it, of Jake, which is very, very profound, amazing footage. And what happened was, in 2010, that same year, later on that year, 3 women that were driving down the highway by where, probably 40 miles from where I filmed Jake, saw Jake. And this encounter, so this is the way they've told me what they experienced. So it was the sun was going down, so the light was kind of mediocre. And what happened is, these 3 girls, one of whom is a nurse, and they're all willing to testify in a court of law to this having transpired. So they were driving down the highway, and one of them had to go to the bathroom. So she proceeded to go out to the bathroom, and this is like highway in the wilderness. This is a crazy, in fact, I'm not going to even pull any punches about it. It's the Kootenai Highway, where Sasquatch are very, very famous. So these 3 girls stopped. One of them went out to go to the bathroom on the side of the road, just outside of the light. And as she was done going to the bathroom, and she moved up towards the car, Jake came out of the woods and walked right up to where she had urinated. So she moved over and didn't really see the Sasquatch. The girls in the car were stunned and frozen in fear as their friend moved back to the car, and they could clearly, just out of the sight of the headlights, see Jake, 8'8", probably 800 pounds, monstrous, walk right up to the spot where she had gone to the bathroom and picked up that piece of grass and put it in his face and was smelling it. So as the girl who had just gone to the bathroom went back over to the vehicle, she went and got in the vehicle. The girls in the vehicle were kind of flipping out. Jake walked right up to the car. Now he walked up to the car, the girls say, to stay out of the headlights. The headlights, he didn't want them in his face. So although he was quite well lit up, he moved right up to the car and stood right in front of the car and put his left arm on the hood of the car while he had this piece of grass and was smelling it, while the girls were there pretty much stunned in shock. They told me things like they could see his nostrils moving, his eyes blinking. They were standing there stunned, looking at an enormous Sasquatch. I mean, it doesn't get there couldn't be a more significant sighting than this. It's amazing. 3 of them saw this. So as Jake stood there, and he wasn't angry, he wasn't acting aggressive, he seemed quite calm but intrigued, and looked at them with curiosity, they would put it. So he stood there and smelled this piece of earth that he'd torn out of the ground, looking at these girls. And so after they calmed down for a minute and got their senses, the girl that was driving put it in reverse, backed up, and Jake just stood there, backed up until the headlights came close to his head. He put his arm over his head, stepped back into the bush, turned his back on them, and she put it in drive and drove away. And as they drove away, he turned back and looked at them again. But we're talking about a Sasquatch sighting. I mean, they were 5 yards away from him. And in confidence, I mean, these girls told the story. Nobody believes them. Everybody thinks they're crazy and that they're liars. And like my colleague John Bennernagel says, every person who sees a Sasquatch discovers it for themselves, and it's followed by ridicule and disbelief, and that's what these girls have gone through. So they were extremely happy to meet me and talk to me. And what was totally mind-blowing and amazing about this is, obviously I'd filmed Jake that same year that they eyewitnessed him, and what's not in any of my footage is something that I've seen in Jake since, is he's got a scar on his left arm that's where his hair is damaged in a certain direction, in a way, on his left arm. Well, he picked up his left arm and put it on the vehicle, and they told me exactly what that scar looks like, and I told them exactly what it looked like, and it was like this moment of, they all gave me big hugs and got teary-eyed, because after the ridicule, and I mean, you can imagine, I know a lot of people have been through it where they've seen a Sasquatch and they get ridiculed. It was nice to get some validation, and so they were very excited to speak to me, very excited to realize that Jake has been filmed, Jake is real. They weren't imagining things, which obviously it's ridiculous to even think that they were imagining that, a sighting of such significance. So I have eyewitnesses like that have had such profound encounters and eyewitness accountings. I mean, they saw his muscles in his legs. They had such that he was standing, what is that, 5 yards away from them, put his arm on the hood of the vehicle. 3 of them saw this, and these are very well-educated, intelligent women, and more information's coming in about that. There's a lot why Jake had did that, and the whole there's so much more to this than just what happened. I mean, you could just kind of read between the lines, but anyways, it's these kind of eyewitness encounters and this kind of testimony that I'm going to bring to a court of law, besides DNA evidence, footprint evidence, which is absolutely profound right there. And my goodness, Jeff Meldrum's proven this species exists just based on the foot evidence, and it's actually been scientifically accepted. So the the conservative way that science moves forward is mind-boggling, but this discovery is underway, and this court case is moving forward. The eyewitnesses are amazing and profound. If you have seen a Sasquatch or have some piece of evidence to prove that Sasquatch is real, now is your time. And I've announced this. Everybody in the Sasquatch community must know by now that this court case is proceeding forward. And if I win, this is a huge, enormous step forward for us. If I prove in a court of law in the United States and Canada Sasquatch is real, everything changes. It's got to be an enormous step forward. What are we all working for, if not this? So I don't care what's happened in the past. The only way this court case is going to succeed is through immense cooperation. So if you're willing to cooperate, if you have information, if you're willing to testify, any little thing you can do to help, it's going to be, this is so important. And this is even, I worked for species protection. I busted my ass for species protection, and I didn't win in the end. I fought hard, and there was good movement forward, but I did not win. This court case is much different. When I prove they exist, when I go to Fish and Wildlife after and I say, good day, I am Todd Standing, I am the man who takes people out into the field and shows them Sasquatch. I will walk into the Fish and Wildlife office, and they will come out with me because the species is proven to exist in a court of law, and now it's up to them to do their job as stewards of wildlife and acknowledge and accept and study this species the way it should be. So let's all get together. Let's try to make the Bigfoot community do some community work. We're moving forward here. If you can help out, I'd really appreciate it. And if not, it doesn't matter, because I'm going forward and I'm going to make this happen. I fight for this. I risk my life for Sasquatch research, and a court of law is a walk in the park for me, and I'm excited to get there and do it. Can't do Sasquatch research in the winter anyways, so might as well spend my time devoted to this incredible, amazing, fantastic cause that I'm obviously tremendously passionate about. So for more information, visit my website, sylvanic.com. It's in the link below. Thank you very much for watching and listening.